Welcome to Creating from the Heart. I'm Suzy Vance, and this is the Artistry of Living. Today, we're going to talk with our wonderful friend, Pat Boy, who's going to share with us how she became the person she is today. So, Pat, how did you get into politics?
I helped save a wetland.
You did. There you go.
It was a company that wanted to build an apartment complex in the woods behind our neighborhood, and all the neighbors got upset about it, and we got together and looked at it, and we looked up the wetland maps, and it was a wetland. It's not a wet wetland. I mean, it's not a flooded one, but it's a water sink. And we went to look up the company, and it was from Ohio. We sent them a letter saying, you can't dig until you get IDEM permits. They ignored our letter. We went to the city council, we went to the BZA, we went to the plan commission. The first time I spoke in front of one of them, I had a 3-minute thing to read. And by the time I finished reading, my knees were shaking so bad I could hardly stand. And we watched them, and we watched to see what was going on. And we went down to talk to the state, and they said, well, we've already given them the tax credits. They would sue us if we took them away. So they had $2 million in tax credits coming. So they never responded to our letter. So we went to the DNR like a couple days.
Department of Natural Resources.
Yeah, a couple days before their their 2-year term limit would be up, when they would lose their tax credits. They hadn't started digging yet. We said they don't have IDEM permits. What do we do if they show up and start digging? They said call DNR enforcement, and they gave us their phone number. The very next day, there was a truck out there, and it was knocking branches off of trees as it went through. And we called DNR. We said, they're out there with a big truck. We don't know what they're doing, but they don't have permits. DNR showed up before we got over there, and it was around the corner from us. And they said that they were doing core samples. And they said, well, you can do the soil samples, but you cannot dig until you get permits. By that time, it was too late to get the permits, and they lost their tax credits. So the city bought the property and named it after Bud Ruby and made it a walking park. So the sitting city council person, Joey Winsky, was not going to run again. And I got talked into trying. So I beat 2 men in the primary and 1 in the general. And I did it 3 more times. And I got down to year 15, and I said, I don't think I'm going to do another run after this session. And then Scott Pilath retired.
This is all city council.
That was all city council, 15 years. I was going to finish after 16 and let somebody else do it, because I don't think it's good to be a career politician. And I was becoming one, and I didn't like that. Although I liked what I was doing, and it was a part-time job, so I could take care of my husband and everything while I was doing it. He'd come to meetings with me. He was a riot.
I bet I can hear the commentary.
He was a little bit of a troublemaker.
Yes.
But he was fun. So we got to after I had just kind of announced to a couple people just to see what they thought. And they said, yeah, you should run for county council. And then I got a call from 2 members of the county party, and they asked me to come down and talk to them. So I did. And I said, what did I do wrong? And they said, nothing. We want you to run for Scott Pilath's seat because he's resigned. And I was like, what?
And this was
I don't think I can do.
What was this position?
He was actually the minority leader of the Democrats in the state House of Representatives. And he was for District 9. I did not inherit the minority leader thing, which is good because I don't want that. But I had to talk to my kids about it. And my then daughter-in-law said, yes, you have to do this. And my son said, Mom, I think you're crazy, but if you want to do it, I'll support you. And my grandson, who was, I think, 5 at the time, said, we can give it a try, Grandma. So as long as I had all their support, I tried it. And I beat 2 men in the primary again and 1 in the general. And the next time I didn't have a primary opponent, which was a blessing. And then I beat 1 in the general. But How far that's gonna go, I don't know.
I don't either, but you are a gift. You
I
are a
don't
gift.
know.
Did you ever, in your wildest imaginations, imagine that you would be doing this when you were younger?
No, never, ever. I would never have thought of it. Like I said, the first time I spoke, my knees were shaking so bad I couldn't stand. Um, but I eventually got used to it. I'm not comfortable
I
with
think
speaking,
Dennis
but
was a good help to you because he was such a cheerleader.
he was. He called me, he would say, "Give him hell, Harriet," when I'd leave the room.
I love it. I love it.
But it was really a challenge. It was challenging to me because I'm not a person who goes out and says, "Please vote for me, please vote for me, please vote for me, give me money." I can't do that. So when I went door to door, I would say, "I'm here, I'm running for city council, or I'm running for state rep. I want to remind you that election day is coming up. Don't forget to vote no matter who you're going to vote for." And some people were happy with that. Some people were okay. I went to one house. I could see the man sitting in his recliner in front of his TV. His screen door was open and his inside door was open. So I rang the bell and he said, "Who's there?" And I said, "Pat Boy, I'm running for city council." And he says, "Oh, I'm not going to vote for him." So I just said, "Thank you." And I left. But he didn't even look. It was hysterical. I laughed about that for quite a while. I still do. But it was a challenge trying to find time to go walk door to door.
Yeah.
When I did city council, I went to every house in my district.
So you made your 10,000 steps a day.
Oh, at least. I don't do that now unless I'm in the state house, and then you walk every day from here to there and here to there.
Right.
But it's been entertaining, to say the
That's
least.
good. We want life to be fun.
There are days that it's really a lot of fun. There are days that it's just frustrating.
Well, then there are
But
days that you get things like texts from a friend who lives in a place where there are potholes in a road that nobody wants to own.
that was a really interesting
A puzzle.
puzzle was solved, but we figured it out. Actually, NDOT figured it out. Department of Transportation figured it out. And they fixed it this time, but when they repave 12,
12?
they're gonna deed that property to whoever it was that paved Beverly Drive,
Okay.
because it doesn't make
That's
sense for them to
probably
patch
Beverly
that little.
Shores.
Probably.
Wonder if Beverly Shores will accept it.
I
We'll
don't
see.
know, but it was nominally in Michigan City's name, I guess, but the city didn't know that. They never took care of it. They didn't know it. They were getting a nominal fee for fixing it or maintaining it, but they didn't even know that.
We should put it in along with 12.
Yeah,
Might
except
get
and that's not
done.
gonna do that.
I know. Okay.
They finally found out who owns it, and they're not gonna,
They're not going to do
because
that.
their first reaction was, "Oh, that belongs to us." But then they looked further and it doesn't, so.
That's a
But at
riot.
least it's patched for now.
That's good. So, do you have any advice that you would give someone who is thinking of doing this? Meaning thinking of running for local office in their city or running for statewide office?
I would start with the local office because it's a whole lot smaller area to cover and less walking to do. It's a lot more hands-on too. There are parts of the state legislature that are very frustrating because it can take weeks for one bill to get through if it gets to committee. And in the city council, if necessary, they can actually pass a bill on third reading in the same meeting that they did first and second if it's an emergency. Can't do that at the state.
Hmm.
They were planning to do
Interesting.
it on this coming Monday, but they finally canceled it because too many people knew that rule. You gotta have 3 days. Anyway, it takes a long time to pass something in the House. It was a lot faster in the city council.
So did you feel like it was more rewarding or more you could get more done or at least you could know more about what you were doing?
Um, no, I think it was more like it's more day to day. You get a lot more calls for things you really can't do anything about, like there's somebody parked in my driveway, or they've still got a van parked on their street. They can't park it there. And why is that dog barking next to me? And they're real problems for the people that have those problems, but it's really hard to solve them because you got to be there to hear the dog to figure out who it is that's barking. And, they can point it out, but if you don't hear it, you can't prove it.
Right.
And those things they were good when you could solve them. They were frustrating when you couldn't.
Yeah.
And at the state level, it's frustrating right now because the Democrats are a super minority. So basically the Republicans can deny hearing our bills in committee, and they can pass anything that they want, which is really frustrating because not all of their bills are as probably as helpful to people as they are to businesses.
I see.
And I'm not saying that that the Republicans are bad people, but they lean towards businesses rather than individuals. And the Democrats seem to lean towards more individuals than businesses. And it's kind of like at loggerheads sometimes.
Just like it is nationwide.
Yeah, just like it is nationwide, except they have a little bit less supermajority stuff. That's a hard part, because if you have a really good bill and everybody tells you you have a really good bill, and then the chairman won't hear it in the committee, you'll never get anywhere with it. And if you get somebody that's on the other side to sign onto your bill, you might have a chance. But if it's only a Democrat on the bill, it's not going anywhere.
So how are your relationships with the other side of the fence?
The first year, I didn't know anybody. The second year, I was getting to know them. We went home. We were locked in the house for like the next 9 months.
COVID.
Didn't go anywhere at all. I put 45 miles on my car in the whole time.
Oh.
The year before, I put 99,000 miles on in just in the summer, just for going places for the state.
Oh my.
But it was.
And since then?
And since then, I've gotten to know a couple of them a little more. One of my favorites was sitting behind me last year. He's really an independent thinker in a lot of ways. He actually sees the benefit to some of the environmental bills that come up, but I think he's one of the leadership in the party, so he doesn't bucket too much, but
at least he's thinking.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I like him. There's a couple others that I like, but I don't know them well. And there's a couple that I don't really hardly ever talk to. One of them I think is hard of hearing. I've said hello to him numerous times, but he never seems to hear me. But one time he actually did, and he said hello. But most of them, it's like, I don't know them. We get together a little bit more now. The COVID has opened up a little. It's not over yet, but it's opened up a little. So this summer we had a couple events. One was a women's group, the women legislators, and it was started by the women's Republican leadership. And we had a meeting, and we had different speakers that were talking about different things that were interesting to women. And then that evening we went to a I don't know what they call it. It was a place where you make signs, wooden signs, crafting.
Okay.
I can't remember what it was called, and I can't remember the name of it. But we would sand the wood and paint it, and then put stencils on it and decorate it, and it was kind of fun. But so we got to talk to each other while we were working on it.
That's good. Always good to be able to talk while you have a project.
Yes. So that was kind of fun.
That's good.
I have one that says a woman can do anything. I didn't make it up. It was one of the ones they had. But I'm going to bring that down to my office and set it up on my thing.
There you go. There you go. Well, this has been really fun. Great to get to know what you're doing down there.
Yeah. And I never did answer your question.
What was
for somebody who wants to do it. if you wanna do it, take steps and do it. You've got nothing to lose except the election. I mean,
Right.
you can put a lot of work into it and still lose.
Yes, you can.
And, if you don't take the step, you'll never know what you missed.
That's right.
So that's kind of I like that.
I like
I like
that
that
too.
part.
I like that too. Thank you, Pat, for
Thank
being
you.
with us today. Join us again for Creating from the Heart, the Artistry of Living. I'm Suzy Vance. See you soon.
Bye.